Yo, what's up guys? It's the new sensation, Bigger Notation here, and today we're here showing off another one of the T-2 boys out here. Brad over here came 11th place, ending 5-2 with Green Gohan in the recent regionals. Only been playing, or only been entering some of the bigger events in the past year or so, isn't that right, Brad?
Yeah, man. I've kind of put the game down back in the early sets, around set 9, and then kind of rejoined back just before Dawn of the Z started up. So what's that, set 18? So it's only been about 9 to 10 minutes since I picked it back up.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
loving
I
it.
remember you were saying about EU finals last year being one of your first big events back. But of course, only been playing about a year's time now with the new Zenkai mechanic, but that's nothing for Brad the Beast over here. So he's
Oh,
still here collecting those results, getting the top 16 and everything, representing T-2. So yeah, go ahead and take us through your deck, bro.
so much love for that. Pleasure to be on the Big O channel. This is a new experience for me, but we're going to represent because T-2 are taking over Europe right now. So as you can see, pretty standard in respect of the meta right now. Kind of people are going to probably think I've jumped on the bandwagon, but to be fair, it's all about representing what we think is competing and what's not. So yeah, gone ahead with the Green Gohan from what's it, set 21, the recent one. Not going to go into the leader too much because as we can see, it's all over the format at the minute in regards to what the leader does. But yeah, on his front side, we start with the chamber. The whole kind of gimmick of the deck is to kind of get cards underneath the chamber to be able to play them for free the following turns. Therefore, kind of manipulating our energy and being able to use it a bit better that way. But yeah, on this side, it's just when he swings, top five search for a green Saiyan, and then of course his awakening. He's got two, it's either a four or less, or you've got the Gohan, the Goku, which we'll go through in the engine in a minute. And this side, my personal opinion, excuse me, I prefer to stay on this side a bit longer than go straight into the Z lead, purely because you get the benefit for filtering through cards with the bottom deck draw two when you combo on both turns, not just yours. Whereas, of course, when you go to Z leads, you can only do the activate main on your side. Yeah, so that's the leader. We'll go through Z deck first. Pretty standard, I think, from what a lot of people seem to be running. But yeah, we've got one Z lead. Go into activate main, discard one, draw two. Normally, with the discard, you want to be discarding one of the Gokus with the one cost 10k combos, which we'll go through shortly. Really to set that up so when you swing with your Gohan, whether it be your battle cards or your Z lead, you get to then get the free combo triggering off its auto. You bring it out by C-stacking it underneath the Android 16. Same again. When it's played, skills can't be negated. But it's either at the end of your opponent's turn or when your opponent plays a card. It doesn't specify if it's a card unison or anything. It's just when your opponent plays a card, you can choose to trigger it. What I tend to do, like probably a lot of people do as well, is we tend to use it as the blocker that it's got, just to be able to kind of block, combo off something to be able to filter through the leader, and then get the bottom deck one, draw two, and then let the card go away and go out to Z lead, so we get the extra benefit that way as well. One Jiren, just kind of for space to take up. Haven't really seen much unisons in the kind of format at the minute, but yeah, still think it's very good as just ends up becoming a 25k for 2 energy. Same again, unison removal, and it gives the card five or less on your side of the board, where it can't be removed by skills. So that kind of didn't really use that. I think I used that once this whole tournament back on the weekend. Ended up relying a lot more on 2 copies of the freezer. Yeah, just the clutch card, 2 energy, double strike when it's played, KO something five or less. Same again, it just helps with ripping cards out of your opponent's hand when it's from another battle card if you're trying to go wide instead. Tends to kind of play that first to be able to sequence and then swing with another card that's two or more just to be able to get the extra card out when they pitch up the Z energy. Then of course the MVP for the Z card aspect really, in my eyes, are 2 copies. Probably thinking about maybe ditching the Jiren and upping that to 3, but it's kind of trial and error at the minute. Yeah, 2 of these, you need these 2. You want to see this turn 2. Just fuels your field card and gets ready for your awakening with your turn 3. Excuse me. Same again. That's the Z deck. Let's move you over. Let's put it over here actually. We'll go through main deck and we'll do side deck after. Right, so with the field card, pretty standard as everyone's been noticing, is you tuck a Vegeta Trunks as a pair underneath, or you just do the Gohan Goku combo. Just let you able to do the activate main once per turn. Free play one of the cards from underneath, doesn't specify which one, it can just be one of the Saiyans underneath. And then you can choose to take up to 2 lives. That it's probably, as you can see from the Z deck, not running the like a self awakener in aspect like this, or even the Dr. Gero, purely because you get to take yourself down naturally with life from here, unless you're going to take a few swings and take life from that. But if we go into, where are we? We'll go into the core aspect, which we'll probably say the main part of the engine really at the beginning. Let's just move you guys out of the way. So we've got 4 Vegeta, 3 Trunks, 3 Goku, and 4 Gohan. Did quite a bit of playtesting trying to figure out kind of the ratios, because that was kind of the hardest thing. Started off by doing 3-3 across the board, but then I wasn't always opening up with at least one of the cards necessary for your opening turn. Really, guaranteed turn 1. You want the Vegeta and the Trunks. They've both got the same activate main, you just pay an energy, tuck it underneath the field card, and once that does that, it searches out its opposition. So these two pair up, Turn 1, going into your turn 2, once you bring that out from your field card, swing, the auto goes off, you're able to combo if this is underneath the field card, the Trunks, you get a draw 1 plus, makes the attack crit, and then for the rest of the turn, you're able to combo them off like we used to do in SS4, combo it off in rest mode. Didn't do this very often, but it did help out if I didn't have much of a hand left when I've been, especially the later turns, kind of going pushing for game. Is the Trunks has got an activate main as well for 1. If you've got 4 more energy and you're on your Z lead, you're able to remove this from the drop, and you can play out a Vegeta from your drop and give it plus 10k for the turn. It plays it with its skills as well. Not that it really matters when you swing, because you're not going to, most of the time, you're not going to have another Trunks underneath the field card unless they're both together. But the fact you can bring this out for 20k swing from your drop, if you're struggling for plays from hand, it came in clutch quite a lot for me. But went with a 4-3 split because I want to see this one of them in regardless. And then turn 2 onwards, really want to play out with the Goku and the Gohan. So the alternate awaken on your leader is pretty simple. It's just basically if you've got 4 or less, or if you've got this Goku card in play, take yourself down to 6, untap 1, draw 1. Pretty simple for the meta in regards to what everyone, they will do the same. This one, generally under the field card, same again. In order for you to get, it's not like the Vegeta and the Trunks where they can get themselves under it by using their own ability. You have to play out the Z battle card, which I showed you earlier. You need this to be able to trigger it in. Same again, when it's played, you just pick one of these from your hand, tuck it under, and then it searches that as counterpart, just like the same with the Goku, the Vegeta and the Trunks. Ideally, depending on kind of the circumstance, you'll be bringing this out turn 3 to then get your awakening. With regards to kind of how I do it, I tend to bring out the Goku first, especially if there's no response to it. I bring the Goku in first. When it plays from underneath the field card, it's a 24k barrier swing. But then it's got the activating where you can pay 1 for free, draw 1, send it to the drop to then play out to Gohan. The Gohan, it's the whole gimmick of the deck itself. When it's played, KO's a card, battle card. And then when it swings, if you're already on your leader's awakened side, when it swings, you get to combo with a 5k card from your drop. Doesn't specify as long as it's a 5k combo card. So generally you want to pair it up with the Goku. So what you'll do is you'll swing with this, and then you will combo with the Goku underneath because it gives it the extra auto that when it's comboed, you get to then, it's unison marker removal, you then get to take 2 markers off unison. So generally for the decks that run the unisons, which we haven't really been seeing much at the minute, expert deck 21 when they play the Zamasu, if you're swinging at lead and then choose the block and you swung with your Gohan, just make sure on your awakened side, combo this from the drop. You're going to take a marker off it anyways for a swing, then you're going to take another 2 off from this, and if you choose to then combo like the SGR, it's another 3 markers, it's gone. So that came in clutch, but yeah, kind of turn 2, turn 3, I was pretty much playing, because as you saw, I was only running 2 of these, so I pretty much wanted to turn 2, get this out to then play it, tuck these 2 under, and then same again, turn 3 ideally. I built the engine with the ratio, same again, 4-3 across both, and that was more for the reason of I kind of wanted to get that, although you were spending energy the turn before, it was more trying to get myself in a position where I was able to get at least one free play every turn. That was kind of the idea with it, whether it be with the Vegeta and the Trunks combo, getting the crit swing in, or just get the extra draw, or even with the Goku Gohan. Didn't always end up doing it like you do in the early game in regards to turn 2, play this one out first, and then play out this one after. Because sometimes energy, you seem to get a bit tight when you're pushing for game. You're trying to swing your bigger bodies, trying to get a bit more value out. So it's more just swing with what I've got on board, and then if I've got this one under, if I want to kind of board wipe at the same time, it tends to just combo off with this. And then of course, even when you're on Z lead, even doesn't matter what Gohan is swinging. But as long as the Gohan childhood is swinging, then you can trigger the auto on that, where you get to combo with a 10k cost combo Goku from your drop, 10k or less. You can either do the same again. You can either bring out the 5k one again if it's in your drop to get further marker removal if you need it, or it'd be just a 10k because it's an extra 10k, so it becomes a 30k swing. That was kind of what I experienced the most, especially in the early game. And then boss of the deck, naturally, is the 8 drop. You've got to run it as a 4 roll, and I was running it with a 4 off the counterplay. This, everyone knows what this does. 2 energy, pay 2 green. When your opponent's got 3 or more energy, you bring it out, and then it's the ability to get the effects when it swings. Discard a card from your opponent's hand, get rid of the battle card, ignore a barrier, and it's the 35k double. And then same again, if you're on whether you're on this side, you can combo with the 5k for the drop, or even when you're on Z lead, that's going to be a 45k swing every time. This one's got the snazzy effect, which is why everyone's scared of it. Is of course when you swing with it, if you're on the Z lead, you can combo with a 10k from the drop, and that's what you want to do in a combo with this. Because when a Goku 1 cost 10k is combo, your opponent's at 3 or more life, you also get to crit no life as well. Don't even get it to the hand, crit straight to the drop. So it ends up becoming almost a triple strike. Came in clutch. On the weekend, to be fair, I only played that card because everyone was sliding in Shins, Bigamores, anything, Mechis, anything to stop that card from coming in, because it's just a monster. So to be fair, I only ended up playing this card once in round 5. We're going to matchups later on, but that was the only time I played it throughout the whole tournament. But I'll go into the side deck as to what I ended up playing instead to try and counter why people countering this card particularly. Secret Rare of Choice. I mean, this is just absolutely nuts. I know there's lots of different variations running the plans, the sell max, so you get so much value out of them as well. But I think the way I built the deck as it stands is more putting extra pressure from the leader, especially with there being so many floodgates now with like defending friends for blue. It's every time you battle card swing, you got bot deck. So by getting the extra restand, and then making it, especially if he's on Z League, making him a 40k base. So you pay 1 to combo off, but then you've got the auto. As long as your leader's an Earthling and the Meki Emperor Saiyan green, then you would, if it's any other leader, you negate their skills, but you just give the power boost. But if it's paired up with this leader, it restands, gets the triple strike, like with every other one. But I found myself, although using it for extra pressure, I found myself using it a lot more going into if I couldn't finish that turn and I'm coming close to tapping out, I was using it more, especially if my hand size was low, I was using it a lot more for defensive. So I'd swing with leader, whether it be Z lead or even normal, combo this off once I've tried to rip a few cards out of their hand or get a few swings in the turn, combo this off, pay 2 energy, let the battle end. I will try and put down super combo 2 if I had it available, otherwise I'd keep that for defensive next turn. And then put that up face up in your Z deck, and then it costs your leader 20k until the end of your opponent's turn. So I ended up using it as more of the fact that my leader was then at base 35 or 40k, which means all them little swings weren't going anywhere, and they would have to focus on either comboing a lot of cards out of hand or having to focus on playing more big bodies to kind of swing at me. But yeah, that was a saving grace, especially kind of round 4, round 5 particularly, and even round 6 for that matter. I ended up using more to try and push, but just enough to take a few cards in hand, but more for going into their turn, so I'm just sat at 35, 40k base. But yeah, I thought that card pretty much won me all my games, whether it be because I was attacking or defending, essentially. And then we'll go into a few techie cards. So I've got 4 of the new relics from the TP, 3 of the Kaioken, 2 Fated Rivals, and 1 Super Saiyan Blue and Double White Spirit. Everyone knows what this does. Just tap 1 energy. If you've got 3 or more energy, just tap 1. It's 15k crit, rips the card out your opponent's hand. If I was under the floodgates for where people were using shins to stop me playing my 8 drop or swing with my 8 drop, and I had energy spare, I tend to use it just to pay the activate battle. So you just pay a green. For the battle, it gives an extra 10k. But the only bad thing about that is during your opponent's turn, it loses 10k for the turn. However, a lot of the time it was just using it for the 15 to 25k crit swing, just an extra bit of pressure, instead of you having to use any further resources in your hand unless you needed to. This is the new TP Raditz. I'm actually quite a big fan of it, hence why I run a 4 off. I went with a 4-3 split, more for the reason of you want to see this from your opponent's turn 2. So ideally, as soon as if you're going second, you want to see it turn 2. If you're going first, you want to see it turn 3 because you can play it with your opponent's got 2 or more. It's just a lot of value for 1 green energy, a 20k swing, and when it swings, unless your opponent combos out of it or stops himself from taking any damage from the swing, this then gets to take a card out of their hand. They also walk a battle card on board as well. Just so much value just for the 20k for the 1 green. I went with a 4-3 split because then again, you want to see this when you've got 3 or more. So it kind of depends. But when I go into the matchup, so I tended to drop this down to 3 as just by siding 1 in. It was only for the games that I really wanted to see early game pressure. For the games for any decks that were going to try to stall me out. Things like Hatchet, I just wanted to get the early swings in. But otherwise, I tended to side out at least one of them just to filter in some hate for other decks, essentially. Fated Rivals, same again. This was just another techie piece in regards to the barrier removal. Just tap 2 green, opponent's got 3 or more energy, just like the 8 drop. If you've got a Z energy, you've got to pick a Saiyan or an Earthling energy. As the energy, tuck it under your deck, bottom deck here, and then bring it out. But on play, it's barrier removal, and then it's just a 30k double strike with barrier. Absolutely nuts. I found myself playing this a lot more than I did the 8 drop, purely because everyone was siding in most of the matchups. Everyone was siding in Shin, and I sent again tap anything 7 more. So this managed to get under that quite nicely, and I think some of the matchups weren't expecting to have like a backup option essentially in the main for the best of 1. And then of course you've got this one. This is purely just last regional I had it as a 2 off, but I saw it too often because you do get quite a lot of recycle, a lot of filter, a lot of draw with this deck. So I dropped it down to 1 purely for the fact for it to be pay 1 green and you just evolve it on top of the 5 drop, and it gives itself barrier. It's got barrier, double strike. You don't even need to pay for the evolve, you just literally free evolve on top of it. So what I would normally do was I tap 1, play this, rip a card out of their hand, depending on if it was on high life or not. If they're on high life, what I'd most probably do was if I had this in hand, then I will just evolve straight on top of it and then swing for a 25 double with barrier. And the good thing is that at the end of every turn it restands, so they haven't got the opportunity to even swing into it. It was more the fact that it was just to protect the 5 drop, so I'm getting some value out of it regardless. But same again, most games I found myself siding out because already having 4 of this, 1 cost 10k's, plus the secret rare, plus that, it can feel a little bit clunky at times if I haven't got the energy to be able to pay them. What's good is if you're on your Z lead, I forgot to go through this card particularly, but when you're on your Z lead, of course you can then combo this off for 3, or if you've got any Z battle cards in play, that can and the cost of this card is reduced for each. The Z cost, the Z energy cost of the cards of the Z battle cards on board. But particularly, I never use this for the auto that when it's played to then remove it to the Z energy to then get rid of one of their battle cards 7 or less. Never used it for that or even for a 15k swing. I only ever used this really to be able to combo it from the drop, or use it defensively as like a pseudo super combo when I'm on my Z lead, just to kind of protect myself a little bit more. Same again came in clutch when it was needed. Yeah, so that's kind of the techie cards, the tech package essentially. Super combo of choice just before Paragus. There was a lot of back and forth. I am potentially thinking about doing a 2-2 split with the Gohan adolescents to be able to get the bottom deck one, because sometimes it felt like, especially in the early game, um, I felt like sometimes because of the ratios on the Vegeta, the Trunks, the Gokus, the Gohan, I felt like sometimes I was getting them in my hand too early on, like more than just the one copy that I needed to be able to get the sequence going. So by having these, I'm just drawing two, warping one. But I think sometimes I needed to put one part of the pair back under the deck to be able to then pay the one drop C battle card to then bring this back in. Because when they're both in hand and null and void, you can't search it. It's searching them only from the deck. That's kind of the only kind of downside I think with the super combo. But the fact that you get to draw two and then pick a lesser card in your hand to warp, I still think you get a lot of value. Overall choice was just everyone's favourite at the minute, I think. Vegeta, same again, overround 6. It's just Dark Broly, but the fact it's a 5k combo, 30k swing, doesn't get the crit. But yeah, it's just more kind of late game, just to kind of get rid of walk off the blocker token or anything like that that's trying to prevent me from pushing through. In all of the matchups on the weekend, I didn't see it once. So I'm thinking of maybe going back to potentially up that to 2 and just tweak the ratios, maybe the Raditz or something. Because I want to be able to see that early enough, because otherwise you're just building so many cards in the draw. Yes, you want the cards in there to be able to combo with your leader, but seeing it early on, because there was a couple of rounds where I could have finished them a turn early if I just saw the overrun. So going forward, yeah, I think I would probably up that to 2 or have a secret ID, so 1 for 1, just to kind of help push through the last kind of couple of turns. Right, negates package. 2 dormants, 4 uneasy rage, and 3 homicidals. There was a lot of back and forth. At one point, I didn't have these in there at all. I didn't have any dormants. I took them out. I felt like there was more of a side deck piece, and then it can kind of interchange between the two. But on the last regional, I realised that almost every single game, especially the aggressive matchups, which they pretty much all were, I was pretty much sliding in these every game, and they saved me a lot of times. So going forward, I think, yeah, that's why I decided to main deck it this time. Everyone knows what it does. It lets the attack go through, but pitches card when you counter with it. KO something to cost a 2 or less overall. And yeah, it gives them one more swing. But that saved me. There was 2 mirror matches that I had. I only won one of them. The other one I lost to Ivan, who ended up winning. So congrats to Ivan. Great, really nice guy as well. But to get the other mirror match, that saved me twice. Managed to see it both times, and it just stopped them in their tracks trying to push through. So I managed to keep the size up with sympathy as well. 4 of the uneasy, it's just defending friends on steroids. Everyone uses that. The fact that you can free play it as well is great. You just pitch a card. But same again with this leader, it's the fact that you can get the drawback just for having your leader exist. So in any other green deck, it can be quite heavy cost. Still very good, but it can be quite heavy cost to pay for. But it's just a 3 negates for 4 or less as well to get the floodgate effect as well on top of that. Yeah, the fact that you get the drawback even if you just do. I found myself a lot of the time not using it for the floodgate. Besides the last round, it was more just using it as a pay 1 negate just to get the drawback in the early game. Just because I was relying on the dormants to slide them down overall. The 3 homicidals, everyone knows what that does. There's a lot of back and forth. Originally, I was running it as a 2 of. Then I upped it to 3 because then when I dropped it to 2, I wasn't seeing it enough. I think for some of the aggro matchups, just having it as a 3 negate, put another block on board, was just kind of helps out a little bit. And then last 2, kept the deck at a flat 50, makes it 49. As Big O tells everybody, it's all about consistency. And if you go any more over 50, it's inconsistent. So that's what we try to do here as well. Ends up being a 40 field card as well. And even if you got any game you get stalled out on that was going to time, if you've got an extra battle card, you've got an extra card in the battle area board, it tends to help you win games too. But yeah, everyone knows what Focus Breakthrough does. Just stops any of the counter plays, counter attack floodgates coming in. Decided to main deck too, just made it easier for when it comes down to deciding, not having to focus on trying to find 3 extra spaces, deciding 2 or 3 pending matchups. But yeah, that's everything in the main deck. We're going to the side deck. So we went with 1 Vegeta for the blue height, Same again, it's mainly just for the damage and magic. 2 Vegetas for hand destruction. Excuse me. That was just more for. Oh, excuse me. More for any kind of green deck essentially. 2 Quoits predominantly for yellow, or anything that was playing cards, any token negates. But I think one thing I noticed a lot more of besides yellow was all the other decks besides yellow and blue for defending friends. They're not really playing cards on your opponent's turn anymore because they all know what this does. So they tend to be going more for like Nimbuses and things like that now, I think. Any other floodgates. 2 Mechis. This was a last minute change. I was kind of back and forth with that and Cell Kamehamehas. I decided to go with this. It was more for the Android 21 matchup, more so than anything else. Just then again, you just play it out and then just shut down pretty much most of their deck. My round 3 opponent, however, he sided them in, saw it, called out the Android 4 because I knew he had Secret Rare in hand. He got it from turn 1 on the first kind of top 5 search. Ended up by expending the resource of paying 2 to do that. He then, on the next turn, he just countered back by playing another 8 drop. I could deal with one, but dealing with both, it was hard work, especially with it being once per turn for the auto as well. So it's kind of like not even limit 1, which was nice. So it made it a lot harder to deal with. So I shut out the rest of his deck, but he just managed to have the resource to bring out an 8 drop. So it's kind of like, oop. So whereas that other energy, if I had the 2 energy, I could have done something more maybe. 1 extra counterplay, same again, mainly for yellow, and even a little bit black and blue. To be fair, I'd rather keep my hand size or my deck mix as much as I can. But it's predominantly for yellow. But I didn't really see any yellow on the day in the end. I ended up playing everything but. 2 bigger Moors. These I started in pretty much every game, besides I think the last round it was in the end. Just the fact that because everyone's using the shins, which is great for 1 energy drawback, I thought I was going to get the value because a lot of decks, especially against Trunks, black Trunks at the minute, everything 5 and more just shuts off the overround, shuts off even the 5 drops for them to recycle their drop back up. It was more for that reason than anything else. And even for the mirror match, to be fair, because that, at least with this, it gets under the Fated Rivals aspect as well. If people were running that with the Piccolo or the Fated Rivals package or anything like that. But I did realise in round 2 going against Ivan, where I was paying 2, I did it twice towards the later game. But 2 energy is quite a heavy cost to pay for that. When you get towards turn 4, turn 5 onwards, this deck can just spam out all of these for 1, all these 4 drops, and that just for cheap energy, which just gets underneath it and then it just tears your hand apart. 2 Kamehameha Deflect, same again, just a counter attack. But I think that's just a staple at the minute for green or most decks that can run it, even in the blue-green versions. So that was mainly for yellow, and sometimes blue, more so than anything else. And the mirror match helped me quite a bit against the Vegeta or against the Gohan. But that came in clutch quite a lot. But then again, didn't play any yellow, so it was kind of pointless in that respect. But the rest of it, outside of it, in pretty much every matchup. 1 counter for green. Same again, opponents on 4 or more. And they pay for an extra card. That's a 1 drop, but they pay for the cost. But I started that in every match against green. I just never got the chance to use it, or it never came in. I think everyone's trying to play around it, knowing that there's other options. Because you've got red. Red's not really in the format at the minute. But didn't really come in. But another last minute decision I did. And I think going forward, I might think about increasing it or not, was 2 of the Cell 6 drop. My main reason for this was for yellow. Just because when it's played, you pay 2 green, when your opponent's got 3 more energy, 6 cost, 30k double. It was more for the fact that when it's played, it plays out 2 tokens, 2 10k Cell tokens, Cell Junior tokens, and they both get 5k, so it's an extra 2 15k swings. The reason for wanting to play it against yellow was more for the fact that because you're always underneath the floodgate, if you can't respond to it, whether it be the Vegeta or even the Mecha Riposte, Robotic Riposte, it just gives me 2 extra cards that I can choose to rest to pay the cost to be able to swing with something bigger or better. That was one of the main reasons. But then after round 2 going into round 3, I started to realise that every deck I was going up against was all pretty much sliding in the shins. So I thought, well, what I decided to start doing going forward was started siding 2 of the 8 drop. Still keeping 2 in there because it's an absolute busted card. But so I've taken 2 to side in 2 of these. So it gave me 2 fated rival Gokus and 2 of these as options to be able to swing underneath the shins if it came out. Yes, you're not getting the same value as you do with the 8 drop by getting the card out of the hand and the extra buff from the combo. But the fact that it gives me an extra, it can either give me an extra 10k combo from comboing off the 2 tokens, or using them as targets to be able to rest other cards if I'm under the yellow floodgate, for example. But it's still a 30k swing double strike. Yes, it's got no protection. But the other kind of good thing about this, it was more also for expert deck 21 more so, or even Black Trunks, just for the unison hate, because when it's played, you get to play the 2 tokens out. It's got the activate main. That if I choose to remove one of my tokens or their tokens, and it's not once per turn either, for each token I remove, it takes off 2 markers off unison. So that was kind of another reason for any of the decks that had the unisons on board. Was another reason that it takes 4 markers like that as long as it hits board. Yeah, so that's the side deck. Going into kind of matchups. Yeah, it was 6 rounds in the end, best of 1, pre-side. The matches itself were really good. Most of the opponents were all very, very like really nice people as well. We had 1 or 2, just a bit unlucky. In regards to the matchups, yeah, round 1, I was actually very pleased with round 1. Ended up going against Expert 21. Haven't got hardly any practice against that. The only practice I've got is watching Big O, the man himself, running it from when I've watched a few of the games. When I first went against it, I didn't realise, or I completely forgot about wanting to maybe slow down and not swing so much, because by swinging more and more and more, I noticed they were just able to constantly recycle everything. So I started off by wanting to get the value under the field card, get them out to regenerate. But then going later on, it was more a matter of just slowing things down a little bit, just kind of picking and choosing when to swing, and then pushing them from there. But yeah, I got the win against that. That was a tough matchup. So credit to the guy I played against. But yeah, I managed to get the win, get the W. Round 2, big up Mr. Ivan. I ended up winning on Sunday. Yeah, I lost to him. It was a very good game. Got to about turn 4, turn 5. Yeah, he just had more firepower overall. I think it helped with him. He kept seeing his cell coming behind us. It just took me apart on top of being a 15k combo that just destroyed me in the late game. Same again because I played 2 for big or more. Just made it so much harder for me to be able to expend any further resources to try and defend. And I didn't see any further negates, and he just kept hitting me with all these double strikes, and I was down for 2 life, so I had no chance. Round 3, ended up going against set 20, Android 21. Absolutely hate the deck. I think it's absolutely boring. Hate the deck completely. I have played against it a lot, which is annoying because you know how it works, but I haven't play tested it much with Gohan specifically. That was more back in the red SS4 days. Played against it a lot more, but ended up losing that. So opponent was a legend, really nice guy. But yeah, it just he ended up playing. I've shut his old deck out, but with the Mechis, it was paying 2 for that. Going into his next turn, he had the 8 drops to swing. I just had no answers to it to be able to defend myself. Round 4, ended up going up against Truman Salsa. Ended up getting the W for that. Ended up beating him. Early game, he was taking a lot of hits. I think he was trying to do what the deck might be intended to do, is kind of get to the Z lead and then use that, the activate battle, to be able to kind of regenerate resources by getting cards from the warp to combo with. But yeah, I just got him down to 3. I went to hit him with the triple strike, but then the counter went off. So I got the W on that. If that went through, then it was the game, I think. Yeah, round 5 of the mirror match, another mirror match. Yeah, got the W on that. Just same again, by using the secret red defensively, that's what saved me a bit more than it did normally. It was that saved me by doing it, trying to combo into it heavily, but then making me a 40k going into my opponent's turn. He just didn't have enough. He dumped hand to try and get over the 40 using one of his big guys, but I still had cards in hand to be able to combo out of it. And then put him under the floodgate, and he had no other answers. And then Round 6 was Blue Baby. Shout out to the guy who played Blue Baby. Represents, I think it's Universe Owls. I've had a chat with him since regional. Yeah, really nice guy. Very tough on the topic was in the end. He knew what he was doing. He's played the deck quite a bit, you could tell. And it really came down to the very end. I think we was on turn 5. He was on turn 5. I was on turn 4. And he played Secret Rare, bounced all my cards back up, gave me more cards in hand. But where he tried to push for that game, dumped most of his hand previously, so put him under the floodgate the next swing, even with Gohan on board, and he couldn't swing anymore. So he had to pass turn, and then it was a scoop. So yeah, very 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 long, very good. 6 rounds, went 4 X2 in the end, 4-2. Wish I didn't lose the other 2 games early on. Started off with the win, thinking, okay, it's going to be a good debut next, but they're 21. But then losing 2 straight after, I felt a bit deflated. But I managed to get the kind of W back. I just got things back on track. But yeah, there was all the matchups. I think changes going forward. Don't think I might think about taking the Mechis, bringing back the Cellcom MMRs. I think they're probably main decking the Cellcom MMRs as well, and tweaking the ratios on the Raditz, taking out the 6-drop Indomitable Spirit Goku, because I just found no value for that this tournament. Last regional it worked when I pulled it off, but I just felt like it got too clunky otherwise. Trying to counter the counters in that respect by siding in, or continue to side in, the 6-drop cells, because I do think there can be a lot of value there, especially going into yellow. I think that would be the main changes that I would make going forward. I think overall, overall, really smooth tournament, really great tournament. And once again, it's just a pleasure to be able to represent Team Minus 2 going forward. It's been great ever since joining them. And they've just continued to help me get better and better and better going forward. So hopefully big things to come if the way things are going continue. And that's with all the love of Team Minus 2, to be fair. So yeah, that's my deck profile on Green Gohan.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's obviously a pleasure to have you on the team here. Very proud to say that obviously with you and me and Mikey and Peter, we managed to take up a quarter of the top 16 spots in our last regional, so we're really about to take over Europe this year, honestly. We're putting in the work, and we can see you've got obviously the skills to back it, you've got the deck to back it, you've got the text to back it with that nice little cell for clearing through the yellow. It's all looking up from here.
It's getting there, man. Getting there for sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, pleasure to have you on the channel. Hopefully we can get you on for a couple more deck profiles and everything. Before we close up, are there any other last shout outs you want to give or closing thoughts?
Same again, shout out to Team Minus 2. It's been a pleasure being a part of the team over the last kind of 9 months. Really, really great bunch of lads, always out there wanting to help everyone else and help all of us or each other kind of get better. Yeah, I'm going to say it now, Mikey, Ollie, Peter, just be aware because there's a couple of us coming after you. But I think, shout out of course to Gio and Francesco as well. Great to have you guys part of the team as well. What else have I got? I think the only other 2 shout outs I've got is Dan from my locals, Dan the man. He plays in the Scrub Games locals every Friday. Really nice guy. He's doing really well as well himself. He's there every Tuesday with me. Whether we're playing different decks or just using up all the time. It's just us there to use the time to do extra testing on the Tuesday in person, really. And the second shout out would be to Blocky Stream, aka Harry. Yeah, he's another really nice guy as well. Same again, he's done a lot of games with me in the past, and I think he wants to try and take the credit for the fact that Team Minus 2 are doing great. I don't know how that's going to work for him, but same again, really nice guy. Been spending a lot of time with him. He's a good friend of mine as well, him and Dan. So outside of Team Minus 2, just them 2, but otherwise, it's just great to be on the channel, man, and it's good to represent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, big shout out to Harry and Dan. I think I've played against them a couple of times myself, and I can definitely confirm they're both great guys. But yeah, thanks very much for doing the deck profile today. I'm sure everyone's gonna love to see it and love to hear your thoughts. And other than that, hell yeah. Other than that, that's gonna be it from us today. Me, Big Annotation, and obviously Brad the Beast from Team Minus 2. We're here representing, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.